Former vice presidential candidate and Donald Trump supporter Sarah Palin is slamming the Cruz campaign on her Facebook page, writing in part, Senator Ted Cruz was spot on when he once noted that millions of Americans are asking for accountability and truth, which is why, she goes on, it's so curious and saddens us, this lack of accountability with the lies of Cruz's own campaign. She continues, Cruz's campaign chairman, U.S. Representative Steve King, is lying. He told voters Carson was dropping out of the presidential race immediately before the Iowa caucus. The Cruz campaign's actions to destroy a good man's efforts to serve are no different than Obama's practice of not holding anyone accountable. Joining us now, founder of The Blaze, Glenn Beck. Glenn, good to see you. So,
how are you?
Sarah Palin outright accusing the Cruz campaign of lying. Their explanation is, we thought he was dropping out based on a CNN report. We didn't see the follow-up report saying he wasn't dropping out. We're sorry.
Okay, let me just get this straight. First of all, I don't want to say anything bad about Sarah Palin. I don't know what she is thinking. I don't know where she's coming from. She's now calling Steve King, one of the most honest, forthright people that I know, a liar. It is absolutely incredible what people will stoop to. Let's just look at this, because you can see the timeline. CNN went on the air and said that Carson was going to leave the campaign trail to get a change of clothes. Does that sound reasonable to you, Megan?
I can tell you, Brett Baer and I were sitting on the set, and we all saw it, and we all thought the same thing, which is...
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. You know, they have clothing stores in New Hampshire. But this comes a day at this, I just want to make sure I get this right. WMUR on Sunday announced that Sam Pym, the guy who raised about $4 million for Carson, was now switching over to Cruz. Then on Monday, before the I've got to go home and get a change of clothes for a few days happened, every single person in the New Hampshire super PAC for Carson quit and switched over to Cruz. All of those, plus the change of clothes, would lead any reasonable person to think that he is switching. Voting in Iowa is different than voting anywhere else in a primary. This is a caucus. Your job is to go and try to sway other people. So if I have information that the super PAC guy just switched to Cruz, all of the people in New Hampshire just quit and moved over to Cruz, and he's going for a change of clothes when he's only got about 8 days before the New Hampshire primary, it doesn't make any sense. And any responsible candidate would say, look, I don't know, CNN is now tweeting and saying that it looks like he may be getting out of the race. Go there and make sure that those Carson people who are most closely aligned to Ted Cruz know this and see if they want to switch.
Let me ask you this, Glenn.
That's totally reasonable.
She also goes on, as I just read in this same post, to say the Cruz's campaign's actions to destroy a good man's effort to serve. She's talking about Ben Carson.
I can't believe this.
Donald Trump was the one with the belt buckle saying how stupid are the people of Iowa when Ben Carson was surging. And calling Ben Carson's story, you know, just suggesting it was all lies.
You know what's amazing? You know what's amazing is last week, Donald Trump was saying that Ben Carson couldn't be president because he calls people liars all the time. He called Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell a liar. We know that to be true. But this week, after he says you can't elect anybody because they call liars, he's calling him a liar.
Trump said Cruz couldn't be president because he was calling a liar.
Look, I don't know what's going on, but here's where I come from. We are being turned on each other, and there's no reason to be turned on each other. A circus performer is turning the conservatives against one another. You couldn't have planned this better if you were a DNC operative. We have in Bernie Sanders, an old man that is a socialist, that just through the life expectancy, the normal life expectancy, should be dead before his term ends.
Oh, boy.
He's a socialist. Then on the other side, you have somebody who their own people say is what was it, 80% coming out of Iowa? Her own voters said 80% said she was untrustworthy. It's like going hunting for a deer that's spray painted orange and has no legs. The conservatives should be able to win this with anyone. You know what? This camera could beat them. This oil can can beat those two. And what are we doing? We're looking and we're nitpicking when we have the most conservative man since Calvin Coolidge. We have 4 Supreme Court justices that might die in the next 4 years or retire.
You're writing everybody off. This is getting depressing. Everyone's dying.
Or retire.
Sanders
I got it from
dying.
Bill
Half
O'Reilly.
the Supreme Court is dying. I got to go because we're dying on time.